everybody. Great to see you. Welcome back. Hope you had a great weekend. I took a complete brain break this weekend. I listened to all of Katie Couric's book. It is fantastic. Fun fact, I was sitting on the couch with my husband and son who were watching football. I had my power beats in and I just started crying because I was listening to a really sad part of the story. And they were like, "What's with you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm not watching the game. I'm listening to a book." So it was a great Saturday night, just kind of taking it all in. And then last night we hosted the cross country team last night for some pizza and s'mores, and that was all kinds of fun. So, but let's get down to business. It is 12 o'clock on Monday, and I am very excited. This week, I am welcoming Todd Cordell to the show to Let's Get Real. Todd and I, of course, met on Twitter because that's really where I meet everybody. But I'm so excited for Todd to be joining us. So let me tell you a little bit about him, and then I'll bring him on. Todd Cordell uses his diverse background to help B2B companies with less than $40 million in revenue develop integrated sales and marketing processes. Todd has been a design engineer, software designer, manufacturing operations manager, and business leader with P&L responsibilities. I see P&L, I think math. He has worked in a wide range of companies from small to enterprise businesses and in software, e-commerce, and manufacturing industries. He is passionate about SEO, website user experience, defining customer journeys, and leveraging direct mail in integrated marketing programs. As principal of Moderno Strategies, he brings his engineering background, MBA-trained finance and marketing skills, and broad business management experience to define and prioritize sales and marketing process improvement. Todd lives in Portland, Oregon, and has a love for travel and adventure. In fact, he made it back here just on time after traveling this weekend. So welcome, Todd. I'm glad you made it back.
Yes. Glad to be here, Shane. Thanks for that introduction.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. I went to a wedding up in Seattle, which is only, three-hour drive or so from Portland, where I am here. And it was the fourth scheduled date they had for their wedding. So the first two were postponed because of COVID. And then he got an opportunity to work in Germany, get transferred to Germany. And so they got married. They probably had to be married to bring her along with them. So they actually officially got married, but they finally used the bridesmaid dresses and the wedding dress and all that on Sunday. And the funny thing I just learned after the wedding, that they actually met on Twitter.
Really?
And yeah, they're both in marketing, digital marketing, different aspects of marketing. They met on Twitter, and his best man in his speech, I didn't hear this part. She reached out to him, the bride, the eventual bride reached out to him, and he mistook it as flirting and not networking. So kind of from there. I know, it was a great story. So
that's awesome.
Yes. So if I reach out to you on Twitter, I am networking. I'm just gonna, I just want to make that clear. I just want to make that clear. Yes.
That's fantastic. So let's dig in a little bit. I know I read your official bio. You have the whole package, the left brain, the right brain, the math, and the creativity. But let's kind of talk about, in your words, who you are. I know you wrote the bio too, so that's your words too. But just in riffing, who you are, what you do, and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, I guess, well, that's a long story, how I got to where I am today, but I'll keep that short. But yeah, my father was an engineer, so I kind of inherited a lot of his left brain traits. My mother was a school teacher for a while until she was a mother, kind of focused on raising three kids. But she was a writer, so she was more creative. And when you say I mix the left brain and right brain, I don't consider myself super creative. I don't write, but I do write. But I don't generally write for a living. I don't design, but I will create graphics if somebody else has created the branding. I'll change them around for social media or websites or whatever. But yeah, so I was kind of geeky, kind of quiet and shy in high school, and went into engineering, which was a good field for me. Just kind of gravitated to math and those kind of things. But before I got out of college, I did a couple internships, or one 6 month, and went back for NASA. And I kind of realized that being an engineer and sitting at my desk was not what I was going to be doing my whole career. But I was getting this engineering degree, so I wanted to do it. So I went into engineering, did design engineering at a couple different companies, got involved in manufacturing and management, and that's my first P&L responsibility, was running a team in a company. And I really gravitated to the business side, got my MBA along the way, kind of focused on marketing classes then, and eventually went into software industry, where my mechanical engineering background actually was appropriate because we were making software at Autodesk for mechanical engineers and design engineers. So I got involved in software, and I really love software. I was always kind of liked computers. And that's where I got into user experience design, and got into product management, got more involved in marketing roles, and kind of was traveling a lot as a product manager and visiting. I had 3 development sites I was working with in Michigan, actually 4, Michigan, San Diego, the team in Singapore that we're contracting out to, and actually in Portland here. And I was traveling to all these development teams and not traveling to visit customers. I'm like, I got to travel more. And my wife's like, you got to travel less. And we just decided, we went away for a vacation one time, and she got out a spreadsheet. She says, why don't you quit? And I was like blown away. She did the math, and it's like, we both had careers. We'd been in the same house, so we weren't overextended. And I just quit working for, it was going to just be a period of time and spend time with the kids, coach soccer and that type of thing. And then she said, let's go sailing. It has been my lifelong dream to go sailing. And having this little change in lifestyle with me not working kind of made her realize that maybe this is the time to do it. Because I always wanted to do it with kids. She wanted to do it later in life, which have been now. Kids are out of the house or grown up and on their own. And so we did it. I shifted gears, went and we bought a boat, and we went and sailed a third of the way around the world. Came back while I was working, I was learning about web design and just digital marketing in general, and kind of ran another company, e-commerce company, and really got involved in social media. So I first kind of got into social media and learned that it's not just about broadcasting what we do.
Exactly.
Yes, I had an intern. I had kind of a younger kid, a couple years out of college. He kind of grained that into me, and Eric, he probably doesn't know how much he influenced my future life just from him drilling that into me. But that's how I kind of got to where I am. I just decided just to keep doing this, but for other companies, and have the flexibility of being a freelancer.
Well, that's awesome. And that's exactly right. If you're going to keep a real voice and really humanize your brand, you can't just be pushing stuff out. No one's listening to that. You got to be able to converse and have a personality and tie that into your branding. So one of the things I know that you really focus on, and you mentioned this a little bit, is the connection between SEO and social media. So, my agency stays in the social lane, but we are well aware that our mission is to be driving traffic to a website. So, we're creating conversation and we're building credibility by building these communities, but really, there's got to be an ROI. So we always have specific links we're supposed to be sending people to on their website. So let's talk a little bit about how important social can be for the SEO experience and why that should be a supporting effort to make your website rise to the top.
So when I think of SEO, I kind of ask you, well, what do you mean by SEO? Because people can mean so many different things. So I won't put you on the spot and ask you what you mean, but there's kind of 2 aspects. One's the technical part of having the website structure all correct, getting it registered with Google Webmaster. Well, now they're changing their name from Google Search Console. I think they're changing it again. Getting Google My Business. That's what they're changing the name. Google Business Profiles, which I like a lot better. Having all those things in place is kind of what I consider the technical side of SEO. Super critical for every company. And then there's the whole content strategy. And you're creating content that Google will then crawl because your website is structured correctly and find it and present it. And that's a very strategic mindset to implement a good content marketing strategy so your SEO can bring in results. But it's also somewhat passive. If you just create the content, it's the old build it and they will come. Maybe. And maybe it'll take 6 months or 2 years. Maybe. And there's not immediate feedback for sure. So that's where social comes in, and that's where other marketing channels come in. So you're not quite as passive. You create the content, and you want to share it with people. I think as Jay Baer once said, you need to market your marketing. You create this marketing content, and you've got to market it. You got to promote your marketing, which is so true. It's so true.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
you could have the best. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. Yeah. You can have the best content, and if nobody reads it, it's worthless.
If nobody knows it exists, right? So you've got to use other mechanisms. And I've talked a lot in the past on this live stream about you can't put all of your eggs into your social basket. Your website still needs to be home based. So companies come to me and they're like, well, we don't have a website, but we have a Facebook page. No, that's not going to fly. Joe Polizzi would say you're building on rented land. Don't do that. So, I see social as being a support mechanism for all of the other pieces, whether it's PR, advertising, or anything you're doing in SEO specific work. It all has to be driving people to where they can find out more and fill out a contact form or a lead form or pick up the phone and call you or come to your store. It's got to all work together. And so my purpose in social is to support that effort.
Yeah, you're totally right. No, you can be the best company in the world on any one channel, and if you don't have at least other channels, you're not going to get anywhere. Everything works together. And if you think along the lines of the customer journey, somehow they first become aware of your company, and then they first become aware of the types of things you do, and then they start to kind of learn what kind of problems that you can solve. And they have this aha moment, hopefully somewhere along their journey. It's like, I think this company can solve my problem. And then they start digging into the details, and maybe they'll compare you with a couple different things and get closer to purchase decision and make a purchase. And that process can take anywhere from minutes, if it's a very low risk, inexpensive item or process or service product, or it can take months or years, depending, for high risk business implementations on things. So you just have to really consider that journey, and they're going to come back on different channels over that period of time. Even super quick sales. I've done some B2C work, e-commerce work, not really a specialty area of mine, but I jump into it every now and then for people. And even a sale where they come into I've seen this over and over again. They come into the website. For them, it's a low price product. It doesn't require much consideration, and they'll make a purchase. But if you look at the analytics, it's so often they come in, they invest, they read about the product, they investigate it, they go away for 30 minutes or a couple hours, and they come back and make the purchase. So in my mind, what they're likely doing is they're coming in and looking and saying, okay, this product looks like it can solve my need. It's a little expensive compared to what I was thinking. I'm going to look around and see what some other products are. And they say, it's worth it. And they come back and make the purchase. So that journey is something you need to consider. And that's where social comes in. That's where advertising comes in. That's where direct mail can come in. That's where your website definitely comes in.
Right. So let's talk about that direct mail piece. You hear it. People are like, oh, I don't want to spend the money, or I don't, nobody reads their mail. I've seen results from direct mail. I definitely have a client who uses direct mail. It's part of their strategy. I know you're a big believer in it. Talk to us a little bit about the benefits of direct mail and why it should still be part of your marketing strategy.
So where I would not, I'll start with where I wouldn't use direct mail. If you have a low cost product that doesn't have, it isn't purchased over and over again, it's not a consumable and so your customer value is fairly low, I probably wouldn't consider direct mail, at least for lead generation. I might consider it for influencer marketing or maybe some, working with editors or something, trying to get them. But as far as lead generation, I would not use direct mail. Where direct mail, but on the other hand, I work with companies that really track, talk to companies that really know what it costs to get a customer. To get a qualified lead, the cost per qualified lead, $400, $500 or more, is not at all unheard of. And if you think about that, it's like, okay, it might cost you $400 for a good lead. a dollar direct mail piece or a $3 direct mail piece, all of a sudden, if you start looking at it, it becomes to look not quite so expensive. And then if you consider people that, well, there's several ways to use direct mail too for digital marketers. And one is emails. People quit their high value prospect, they quit responding to your emails or voicemails. A direct mail touch might just be enough to make you stand out and have them remind you. And it can be used for lead generation too. I've never recommended to anybody to go buy a list of 5,000 prospects or 50,000 prospects and email blast them. That is something I would just, steer people away from. I know you can do it and you can have some success, but it's not something that I do. But you can buy a list, the same type of list for direct mail, and send it out to them. And it's it's way less intrusive. They get it, they get it in their hands. And even if it goes directly into the recycle bin, hopefully, not garbage can, even if you had your message, they saw your brand, they saw your brand colors, they saw something on the way in there, and that touches it every bit as valuable as a digital marketing touch. And even if they don't respond, you can pay $7 for a click for somebody that just clicks in and says, this isn't what I need right now, and they go away. The direct mail starts to look pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you need a combination of both, but make sure you're doing it with a strategy in mind and probably someone like you guiding them so that they don't just... Not about that customer journey. And it's always going to be different for every customer. Right. But where are we having trouble in that journey? Where do we feel like we're having trouble? And let's try different channels, whether it's direct mail or whether it's advertising or retargeting or whatever it is. Let's try some different things to get through those pain points. Yeah. That's good advice. All right. So let's finish up with, I just got to ask you, you said to me that one of your mantras is to live creatively, and you tied that in with your trip around the world. So you touched on it in your introduction, but tell us a little bit more about, were you scared? I'm not that brave. Okay. I just be like, see ya, I'll be back in 6 months. I'm going to New Zealand.
Oh yeah, no, well, it took a lot longer than that. No, there was never, okay, there's a few times that the weather was kind of rough and I was maybe concerned, but but I would never truly scared for my life kind of a thing. I was scared for misery. I was scared for things breaking, but never for, the absolute safety of our lives. But backing up a bit. So we bought a boat. We got the idea. I started just researching two things I researched. One is route planning, because the main thing when the advantage of recreational cruising as opposed to being military or a freighter that's commercial shipping is we can pick our seasons. We can pick seasons to avoid the worst weather, and we do. And that's generally avoid northern hemisphere. Getting closer to the poles, you stay away from those areas in winter, and in the tropics, you stay out of the tropics in the summer because of hurricanes or cyclones, they call it in other parts of the world. So you kind of get this overall route planning and timing kind of set. So I researched all that, figured that all out. Then I became a student of weather because we're very weather dependent. Just, it's not just filling the wind, the sails with wind. You don't want to sit there and not have any wind, but it's also avoiding those storms and reading the waves, reading weather charts that you can get, and understanding them and trying to, figure out what to do when, and just to be prepared. So no, I was never really afraid. And then everybody says what you said. It's like when you sailed around the world, I want to make it clear I didn't. I only sailed a third of the way around the world. Because there were some family contentions. I was hoping everybody loved this lifestyle so much we would literally sail around the world. A bunch of friends we made along the way did. So no, it's a third of the way. I went to New Zealand.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was out of the country for a year and a half almost. I spent over a year where I slept on the boat every single night. And yeah, it was a very dramatic shift in lifestyle. But the funny thing is, because you're doing these routes around the weather and the seasons, people that end up in New Zealand from North America, we all leave around March.
Okay.
Just because you want to get out of Mexico or not cross through the tropics if you're leaving from California. You want to get out before hurricane season, but you don't want to get down south too early into there because you're going to be crossing the equator. And so you meet people along the way and you see them. You'll see them weeks apart, thousands of miles apart in different places. We saw people in New Zealand that we met in Mexico, and you're in this cultist community, and you're in this community, and nobody knows anybody's last names. You know their first name and their boat name. Our boat is Capaz, so we're the Capaz family. But it's this community that everybody's doing the same thing, and is irrational to travel that way in today's age, and bizarre, and risk as is perceived. It just seems like a completely normal thing to do because you're in this big group of people that are helping each other when needed, but they're all doing the same thing. It just feels normal. It's kind of your world. It's really bizarre.
That's awesome. What a fantastic story. I'm just blown away. I'm too into my regular life and my schedule to be like, I'm going to check it all for a period of time. I'll be back.
Yeah, but you started a business. You're on a different adventure, right? You are taking an adventure. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, Todd, this was fantastic. I'm so glad that we got to have you on even earlier than we originally anticipated. So thank you for being available. Thanks for coming back from your trip. And it was great to see you. And I'll see you out there on the Twitters. This was fantastic.
See you on the Twitter.
Thank you. And our friend Bernie's on. So hi, Bernie. Thanks for being here.
Oh yeah. Yes, Bernie. I saw you early. I decided not to go to the chat, but give you a shout out.
He's on. Yeah. So thank you again so much. And next week, my guest will be Marianne Avery. So tune in next Monday. I'll see you at noon. And until then, keep it real and have a great week. Bye, everybody.